And for some of the J1s, the standard you're aspiring towards.
This is Raffles Institution. For many JC1, this promo paper
is the holy grail,
the gold standard to strive for by the end of J1.
Find out why in today's episode of PPR.
Alright, welcome back to another video. This is Yao from Vantage Tutor, a class above the rest. And for today's Prelim paper review, it is a JC1 promo special, and it is from 2025 Raffles Institution H2 Math Promo paper. Now before I begin, these are the questions that I feel are insightful and probably worth your time to try. And if you would like to try this paper, you're invited to join my Telegram channel where I've uploaded a short summary along with the download link on my blog. Have a go at it, let me know how you did. And yes, I have started a tuition center. It is located near Boon Keng and SAJC. Regular classes are up and running and the full schedule can be found on my website. And for the 2026 incoming J1s, I have something special for you. I will have a free walk-in trial class on 15 February 2026, 1 PM onwards. So you don't want to miss that, and I will see you there. Firstly, this is a fan request from last year, and because I was very tied down with a lot of different commitments, I couldn't review it. And then now seems like the perfect timing, where a lot of JC1s are settled in their schools already and they are looking forward to the promo exams. They are looking forward to whether they can handle a H2 math paper. And for a lot of you, this school is the gold standard. And I would agree on that for most of the promo papers that I've seen from this school, but this one may not be the clearest case. Why? Let's find out via my 3 matrices. Number 1, relevance. Number 2, insightfulness. Number 3, difficulty. Before I give an overall score, I recommend to you the type of student who should try this paper. And of course, if I had a student who had to sit for this paper under exam condition, what would be a fair expectation of him from me in order for him to score an A in his actual A levels? Firstly, relevance. I'm sure when it comes to revision period, apart from practicing your own school's promo paper, you will also want to look at other schools, and RI will be the top choice for a lot of you. However, it is important to note that as much as the questions here could be useful for you, the topics tested are not completely aligned to most schools. For example, Maclaurin series and complex numbers, they are not usually taught in J1. But apart from that, if you look at the questions being tested, I think the glaring weakness here will have to be the parametric equation. The parametric equation question is a bit strange, and if you look at most of the other schools' promo paper, for parametric equation, they tend to combine it with your differentiation application, applying your chain rule and whatnot. And hence, there are weaknesses in this paper in terms of relevance, especially if you are not from RI. However, the topics that are indeed being tested is up to date. For example, the complex numbers question, they did not make you use the Euler form, and it's pretty much centered on the Argand diagram and polynomials, which is what you saw last year in A level as well, the first time we tested on the new syllabus. As for the rest of the questions, more or less within your expectations, with some small twists here and there that I'll speak about more in insightfulness. And hence, the relevance of this paper, nothing too special, be given a rather average 7 out of 10. Next, insightfulness. Now, as much as most of the questions here are going to seem typical, that means if you have done your revision and you are very much well versed in the execution, most of this paper shouldn't be an issue to you. We just seem to be asking of you of execution and not so much about thinking. However, I do realize the theme in a lot of these questions, especially in the questions that tends to concern your graphs and your functions. And that is the last part of the question. The first 70% of the question, very typical, just take note of careless mistakes, execute it, and you should get the marks. However, towards the end, the last 2 marks, the last 1 mark, the last 30%, the last mile, is the part where they make the question a bit more creative. In fact, some of them are so creative, I have not found something similar before. And that is where most of the insights will come from. And as much as these insights are small, they are creative and they are very special and very unique. In fact, some of these questions, I will keep them in my stash. And apart from that, the insights are not just attempting something creative, it's also attempting questions that is very much A-level inspired. And the clearest example of that is the last question, the application of differentiation. Very often, if you look at application of differentiation in the A levels, they tend to have shapes like this. Many repeated shapes, regular shapes, where very often you have to apply your trigo and then have some idea of special angles. This question will be solved rather easily for the first few parts just by knowing that. And for the rest of you who do not realize all these insights, you probably will still get the same answer but through a more tedious route. And for sure, this has to be the highlight of the paper. And hence, there are insights in this paper sprinkled throughout with one clear anchor question. It should come as no surprise that the insightfulness of this paper will be given a higher than average 8.5. out of 10. Next, difficulty. Like I said at the start, for many of RI's promo paper for math, I always see them as a good standard for students to try. Not because of the branding, but because of how they tend to set their paper, and the design of the paper is such that it's always a given to pass. And for a lot of you, scoring a C shouldn't be an issue. And in most RI papers, there is a very distinct style which is also seen in this paper. There is always a small part of it that will sieve out the students who will get an A versus the students who will not get an A. And the difference between this paper and the rest of the other promo papers is this parts that cause you to lose marks. It's not one question. It's not question 11, question 10 where it's one whole chunk that you totally cannot solve and you'll be blank. But it's throughout the paper. And these are the things I mentioned just now. The small parts towards the end. Those are the ones that will sieve out the students who are deserving of an A and probably deserving of taking a H3 subject versus the students who are just above average and good but not up there. And similarly for the students who have taken this paper, you realize getting an A is an issue, but passing or getting a respectable score not necessarily the biggest of deal. And that is the strength of this paper, because by following this style of having only the last part that will cause students to lose marks, you are effectively testing a student on every chapter equally in terms of measuring their competency. Whereas if you just devote one entire question for sieving out of students deserving of a distinction, for example making the vectors question as hard as possible, the result of that is a measurement of a student's competency more skewed towards vectors than H2 Math as a whole. And looking through this paper, it does feel like this paper is slightly more difficult than the past few years that I've seen. And for me, that comes down to the last few parts of the questions, the creative parts, the 1 or 2 marks at the end of almost every question. The difficulty of this paper is not unfair. Most of you should pass, most of you should score a C. But then there is a challenge to it, and really getting an A for this paper really shows that you're deserving of it and probably a good gauge of what you're going to achieve for your A levels. And hence the difficulty of this paper will be given a slightly above average 7 out of 10. Overall, a very refreshing paper. I really like the small parts of the questions where it challenges me to think a bit differently while staying within the breadth and depth of your syllabus. The questions are creative and you probably would not have seen them before in topical revision, or even if you have, just once, and I highly doubt that there will be a second time. A lot of the skills tested in these questions are relevant to what you see in the A levels. For example, the last question on application of differentiation, and not just that, it's also relevant to practicing for your RI prelim paper. The style of it is still very much the same. If you haven't noticed by now, RI papers for APGP, for your number patterns, they tend to do it very raw, like the one that you see in question 11. For some reason, they just like to stay away from a storytelling kind of question. And this is just one of the examples of a RI style question based on a certain topic. For me, the strength of this paper lies in the difficulty where they are able to really sieve out for the students who are deserving of an A, while at the same time giving most of the other students the deserving grade that will give them the confidence to know that they are doing the right thing moving forward. And most importantly, a rather creative paper. And hence, the overall score of this paper should come as no surprise that it will be given a rather solid 8 out of 10. And if I had a student who had to sit for this paper under exam condition, a fair expectation of him would be 65% in order for him to score an A in his actual A levels. Finally, who I recommend this paper to? I recommend this paper to mainly the RI students who are looking to prepare for their promo paper and even their prelim paper. Like I said just now, a lot of the questions here are not just relevant to how your school sets the paper, but also for you to find out how to actually score an A for your H2 Math in your promos so that you can qualify for whatever H3 subject you're looking to try. Again, the theme of this paper is really to sieve out for the students who are deserving of an A, and they really test you holistically on all the topics that you're taught in the year, where you tend to lose marks everywhere, but it's only in the last 30% or the last 10% of the question. For everybody else looking for extra practices for their own promo exams when they are not from RI, this may not be the perfect paper for you, but definitely the theme of the paper and the skills required for this paper is going to be useful for your A-level preparation. And therefore this paper is very much centered and catered to the RI student and not for everybody else. And hence, if you are a RI student looking to score an A for your H2 Math, when you want to be exposed to the RI style of questioning with a hint of creativity so that you know what are the creative parts, and when it comes, you know how to handle it so that you can eventually secure your A in order to qualify for whatever H3 subject you want, and you want to try this under time practice, this paper will be perfect for you. Alright, so we have come to the end of this prelim paper review of 2025 Raffles Institution H2 Math Promo Paper. Now, if you like what I'm doing, follow me on TikTok, like my video, comment, and share with your friends. I'm sure this will help them, because ultimately, I'm on my way to 10,000 followers. And if you would like to try this paper, you're invited to join my Telegram channel where I've uploaded a short summary along with the download link on my blog. Have a go at it, let me know how you did. And yes, I have started a tuition center. It is located near Boon King and SAJC. Regular classes are up and running and the full schedule can be found on my website. And for the 2026 incoming J1s, I have something special for you. I will have a free walk-in trial class on 15 February 2026, 1 PM onwards. So you don't want to miss that, and I will see you there. Nothing else. This is Yao from Vantage Tutor, a class above the rest. Take care.